Eli Mercer had always thought himself ordinary. That was the point, really. Ordinary humans, in a galaxy ruled by centuries-old alien dynasties, were supposed to fade into the background. But ordinary had its advantages, too. A junior engineer with calloused hands and an eye for details no one else noticed, he could wander a royal station unnoticed, repair damaged circuits, and survive without the pressure of noble eyes or royal etiquette. Tonight, though, the universe had other plans. The station's corridors were slick with polished metal and neon light, humming with the low chatter of hover drones and the occasional alert from distant decks. Eli moved quietly, toolbox in hand, listening to the subtle hiss of conduits and the faint whine of engines. He could almost convince himself he belonged here. Almost. That illusion shattered the moment he felt a presence behind him. A sharp intake of breath, almost imperceptible, brushed against his neck. When he turned, his eyes landed on her, a girl who seemed too delicate, too quiet, too impossible. Her hair was pale as star frost, falling over shoulders that barely held the weight of a data tablet clutched to her chest. Her violet eyes avoided his entirely, scanning the corridor as if expecting something lethal to emerge. Eli blinked. She looked like she belonged in a museum of rare, fragile things, not in the middle of a humming star station. "Technician Mercer," she whispered, voice trembling, "the power grid, Sector 12, is unstable." Eli's stomach relaxed. Machines didn't judge him. Machines didn't whisper. Machines only shocked him when he made a mistake. He nodded, kneeling beside a blinking conduit, waving his spanner like a wand. "Sector 12, right. Let me see." Her ears twitched. He hadn't noticed them at first, those slender, elongated things peeking through the hair, moving like tiny antennas tracking danger. He'd read about her species in the manuals, but seeing them in motion, so expressive, made his chest tighten in an unexpected way. By the time he finished explaining the problem and showing the minor fixes she could apply safely, something inside him had loosened. Without thinking, he added, You really are remarkable." He didn't mean it as more than a compliment. He meant it as recognition, someone paying attention to him, someone genuinely interested in what he knew. But the effect was immediate. The girl froze. Her ears lifted sharply, then quivered, folding back against her head. For a heartbeat, the entire station felt suspended in silence. Even the humming conduits seemed to pulse in suspense. "Oh stars," Eli muttered. "That came out wrong." She whispered something in her language, a string of words that sounded almost like a warning system failing, then bolted down the corridor. He froze, half amazed, half panicked. I didn't mean." Too late. He returned to his repair, heart pounding, certain he had just doomed himself to months of awkward avoidance, or worse, exile to the lower maintenance decks. But the universe wasn't done. An hour later, his comm panel chimed. A message, sealed with a delicate insignia he recognized instantly, her personal mark. "Meet me in the observation tower." Eli's stomach plummeted. Dead. Absolutely dead. "At least I'll die somewhere with a view of space," he muttered, tugging on a clean uniform like armor against embarrassment. The tower was quieter than he expected. Only drifting star charts and rotating holographic galaxies filled the space with soft light. And there she was, standing as if she had grown from the starlight itself, hands gripping her tablet so tightly it trembled. Her ears were angled forward, a clear sign of anxiety in her species. "Technician Mercer," she said softly, "I need to ask about what you said." He braced for a lecture, for royal wrath, for something he couldn't fix with diagrams. But instead, she stepped closer, just enough to feel human warmth, not so close it was intimidating. "In my culture," she whispered, "calling someone remarkable or beautiful is serious. It is a promise, a statement. You cannot speak casually." Eli swallowed hard. He considered the blinking stars around her, the distant hum of the station, and realized he could either lie or tell the truth. "I meant it," he said. "Not as a promise, not as a statement about alliances, not as politics. I meant it, genuinely." Her breath caught, and for the first time, Eli saw her smile. Small, trembling, yet unmistakably real. Her ears lifted gently, and her eyes sparkled like a constellation newly discovered. He panicked immediately. "Oh no, your smile, it's worse, better? I mean." She laughed softly, the sound delicate but clear, like glass wind chimes swaying in zero gravity. "Better," she said. "Much better." And in that instant, Eli realized something. He had stepped out of invisibility. Not into fame, not into danger, but into something far more fragile, far more meaningful: connection. The next morning, Eli's first coherent thought was, "I should never be allowed near royalty again." His second, "I wonder if she's okay." He pushed both away with coffee strong enough to dissolve metal. Yet throughout the day, he noticed subtle changes. Crew members glanced at him, whispering, as if a rumor of impossible things had passed through the station. Even the AI seemed to behave differently, flashing messages like "Princess has accessed engineering schematics 21 times since midnight." He tried not to think too hard about that. That evening, he met her in the botanical dome, a place of glowing vines and hovering pollen orbs, quiet and untouched by the rush of the station. She waited beneath a lavender-leafed tree, ears angled in anticipation. "I wanted to understand humans better," she said softly. "Especially how you express yourself casually. Compliments, smiles, small gestures." Eli swallowed. "We smile at malfunctioning machines. We compliment strangers. We joke to ease tension. We fail spectacularly at etiquette. Mostly, it's just truth expressed clumsily." Her violet eyes studied him like a star being charted for the first time. "Then, teach me," she whispered. "Teach me the small, meaningless things that carry meaning only in humans." And so he did. Slowly, carefully. Hands waved awkwardly. Laughter spilled gently. The hours passed unnoticed, until the stars outside shifted like a brushstroke across the black canvas of space. Something formed between them, something neither could name yet. Something delicate, unstoppable, a quiet pulse that carried across the vast station, unnoticed by the nobles, the AI, and the hovering drones. Only the two of them felt it. Trust, curiosity, and the fragile first steps of friendship, and maybe something more. Days passed. Eli and the princess moved through the station as an unremarkable pair, unnoticed by most but impossible to ignore by those who truly observed. Guards whispered. Nobles blinked as though recalculating reality. Even the queen herself finally noticed, her sharp eyes assessing the change in her daughter. Eli worried, naturally. Approval from royalty was not something humans were designed to survive gracefully. But the queen studied her daughter, noting lifted ears, steady gaze, and quiet confidence replacing years of timid hiding. "You are changed," she said softly to her daughter. "Stronger. Brighter." Lyra looked to Eli. "I do not wish to hide anymore," she said. One compliment, one simple human truth, had shifted the course of a life, and perhaps a lineage. The queen dismissed her guards, leaving Eli and the princess alone in the atrium. Lyra exhaled, relief mixing with a new thrill. "I thought she might forbid this." "Figuring things out," Eli whispered. "That's what humans call it." Lyra repeated the phrase, savoring its sound. Then she smiled, eyes lifting to meet his. And in that smile, Eli saw what he had never expected. A star reborn, a queen emerging quietly, and a bond forged not by politics, not by duty, but by the simplest, most human of gestures, a compliment. And together, they walked through the starlit corridors, out of shadows, into something new. Something unbreakable. The station hummed quietly around them, the vast void outside indifferent yet attentive, and Eli realized that ordinary humans, when genuine, could be extraordinary indeed. Eli Mercer could not remember the last time he had felt this, alive. The corridors of the star station, which had always seemed endless and intimidating, now felt different, like a network of possibilities rather than traps. The soft hum of engines, the faint buzz of energy conduits, and the shifting starlight from the observation windows became part of a rhythm he recognized. A rhythm he shared with someone who had stepped out of shadow into his life. Princess Lyra walked beside him, her ears tilted slightly forward, attentive but relaxed. For the first time, she didn't clutch her tablet like a shield, and her gaze met his without hesitation. Guards and attendants passed them in silence, many pausing to whisper behind their hands, astonished at the sight. The shy princess moving confidently, talking casually with a human. "I never thought I'd feel normal," Lyra admitted softly, her voice barely above the hum of the station. Her eyes glimmered with starlight, reflecting the galaxy projections that rotated slowly around them. Eli glanced at her. "Normal is overrated," he said, smiling. "Humans rarely feel normal anyway." She tilted her head, considering this. "And yet, with you, I feel safe. Even though I know nothing about your species, nothing about your life outside this station, I trust you." Eli's chest tightened. "Trust is dangerous in my world," he said. "But I'll do my best to be worthy of yours." They walked in silence for a few moments, the tension of the station's usual routine replaced by a new, shared calm. Then, a low alarm echoed through the corridors, a distant, unfamiliar sound that made Eli's stomach knot. "What's that?" Lyra asked, ears flattening slightly. "I don't know," he admitted. "But it doesn't sound friendly." The two of them reached the observation tower just as the alarm intensified. The holographic star maps flickered violently, displaying an incoming energy anomaly, a pulse of raw power approaching the station at alarming speed. Eli's eyes widened. "That's a starstorm," he said. "Or at least, part of one. It's not supposed to hit this sector directly. The trajectory, it's changing." Lyra's ears twitched. "Can the station withstand it?" she asked, voice tight. "Maybe," Eli replied, already calculating in his head. "But we'll need to reroute power, reinforce the shields. And fast." Her violet eyes flicked to him. "Then we have no time to waste. Teach me what I need to know. I can help." Eli stared at her, caught between awe and terror. "You're willing to risk yourself? In a storm that could tear this station apart?" Lyra's gaze was steady. "I trust you. And I want to learn. Humans survive chaos, yes?" He nodded slowly, swallowing hard. Within minutes, the observation deck became a flurry of motion. Eli guided Lyra to the control console, showing her which panels to touch, which sequences to follow, which power nodes to stabilize. She absorbed everything with remarkable speed, her long ears twitching as she processed each instruction. "You're extraordinary," Eli admitted, not for the first time. "I've never seen anyone pick up engineering this fast, especially under pressure." She looked down, her cheeks warming. "I learn quickly when I trust the teacher." Eli's heart nearly stopped. He wanted to tell her that he had never trusted anyone like this either, that the entire station felt lighter with her beside him, that the ordinary life he had clung to suddenly seemed small and empty. But words were dangerous when sparks and power surges were flying around them, so he focused instead on guiding her hands across the holographic interface. The storm approached faster than predicted. Energy pulses lanced through the station's outer hull, making the floor tremble beneath them. Red warning lights painted their faces as the system struggled to stabilize the shields. Eli barked commands, his mind a whirlwind of calculations. Lyra repeated every move, sometimes hesitating, but never faltering. Together, they worked as a single unit. And then, the first strike hit. A shockwave rattled the deck, throwing Eli to the floor. Lyra shrieked, grabbing his arm and pulling him upright. The lights flickered, and a high-pitched whine filled the station as shields flickered. Eli glanced at her, and despite the chaos, her violet eyes burned with determination. "We can do this," she shouted over the alarm. "We have to stabilize the conduits." Eli swallowed, nodding. Together, they ran from panel to panel, rerouting power, stabilizing circuits, and absorbing shocks that would have knocked others unconscious. Sweat clung to his brow, his hands trembling with exhaustion, but he kept moving, driven by the urgent rhythm of survival and the knowledge that she was relying on him. Hours, or maybe minutes, time felt distorted in the storm, passed. The station groaned under the pressure, alarms blaring, lights dimming, but gradually, the surge of energy weakened. Eli and Lyra worked in tandem, hearts hammering, ears flicking in synchrony, hands moving faster than their minds could fully process. Finally, the storm passed. The station shuddered, then fell into eerie silence. Lights stabilized. Holographic maps returned to normal. The conduits hummed a gentle, approving tone. Eli sank to the floor, utterly drained, while Lyra leaned against the console, breathing heavily but smiling. "We did it," she whispered. Eli looked at her, disbelief and awe mingling. "We survived." He laughed softly, the sound shaky but relieved. "And you're incredible. I don't think anyone else could have handled this as calmly as you did." Her ears lifted slightly, a blush coloring her cheeks. "You guided me. I trusted you. That made the difference." Eli's chest swelled with pride and something deeper, something he didn't yet have words for. "Then I guess humans survive through trust, not just skill," he said. Lyra nodded, her gaze steady. "Then we understand each other better than most," she murmured. The storm left the station shaken, and for the next few days, Eli and Lyra moved carefully among the corridors. Crew members whispered rumors of the human who had guided the princess through chaos. Nobles avoided them or stared openly, recalculating everything they thought they knew about the shy royal. Guards seemed nervous, as though any wrong word could shatter the fragile order. Eli, for his part, tried to maintain a sense of normalcy, but normal had shifted. Every glance from Lyra, every tilt of her ears, every quiet smile reminded him that he was no longer invisible. That ordinary humans could, sometimes, be extraordinary. One evening, as they walked toward the botanical dome, Lyra paused. "Eli, there's something I must confess," she said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the artificial moonlight. He glanced at her. "Confession. I'm good at those. Shoot." She hesitated, ears flattening. "Before you arrived, I was planning something. A secret. My people do not know. But you made me see. I do not want to hide anymore. And I wish to share this with you." Eli frowned, curiosity mingling with caution. "Share what?" Her ears lifted, trembling slightly. "I'm not just a princess. I am the hidden heir of the throne of Vera. My title has been kept secret because of politics. There are those who would harm me if they knew. But now, I trust you." Eli's mind froze. Hidden heir. Secret princess. Dangerous politics. And yet, he had never felt more certain of anything. "Lyra, I don't care about titles," he said firmly. "I care about you. About keeping you safe." Her eyes glistened. "Then, will you help me? Not just through storms, but through what comes next." Eli nodded, determination settling over him like armor. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Days later, the station was no longer just a home or workplace, it was a battlefield of politics, intrigue, and power struggles. Word had leaked of Lyra's true status, and factions began maneuvering, some to protect her, others to control her. Eli found himself navigating not only machinery but diplomacy, negotiating with alien counselors, interpreting human gestures to calm tensions, and using every ounce of ingenuity he had. Lyra learned quickly. The lessons in trust, casual expression, and human unpredictability became weapons as valuable as shields and lasers. Together, they moved like a single organism through the station, a human and a hidden queen, ordinary and extraordinary, teaching each other strength, patience, and courage. Through sabotage attempts, storm simulations, and political traps, their bond deepened. Eli discovered that humanity's greatest weapon was empathy, unpredictability, and connection. Lyra learned that bravery was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. In one quiet moment, high above the station in the observation tower, Eli looked at Lyra. Her ears twitched slightly, eyes reflecting galaxies. "We've survived storms, politics, everything," he murmured. Lyra reached for his hand. "Then we survive whatever comes next. Together." And for the first time, Eli realized, being ordinary was a choice. Being extraordinary was a consequence of courage, trust, and a bond forged across species, across politics, across galaxies. As the station's lights flickered and the stars outside burned silently, Eli and Lyra stood hand in hand, ready to face the unknown. Not as a princess and a technician, not as human and alien, but as partners. In the vast, indifferent cosmos, humans, ordinary, flawed, unpredictable, could shine brighter than any star.